What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sector for Nerds. Once again, joining me today, you guys, back by popular demand, I've got Abbie the Star Wars story.
Hey everyone, glad it's good to be back. Sorry.
So today we're going to be talking about each of us are going to come up with a list of our 5 favorite parts of the Star Wars universe. So this can be anything from books, movies, television shows, comics, video games, just what are the 5 parts of the Star Wars universe that I guess mean the most to you. So I think what we'll do, Abbie, is you can start at your number 5 and then I'll do my number 5 and then you do your number 4, I'll do my number 4, so on and so forth. That okay?
Yeah, that works with me.
Okay, do you want to start or should I?
I can start. Is videos okay? Does videos count?
Yep. Anything. Okay. Yep.
Okay. This video is something that's just a short, but it's one of my favorites. It's Chopper with subtitles, and it's from the Ahsoka series, and it's absolutely one of my favorite things.
Chopper with subtitles. What? I don't know if I've heard of this.
It's pretty much just a video going over the part where they're trying to chase down that ship in the Ahsoka series before it leaves the atmosphere, and it's literally just him with subtitles, and it's one of the best things ever.
Really? I guess I'll have to see this then. I've actually not been made aware of this video's existence. I'll have to check that out. So at my number 5, I have got what I personally think is the greatest Star Wars video game of all time, and that is The Force Unleashed. I am such a massive fan of that game, of that whole universe. And it's not just even the story, which I think is fantastic, but the whole idea that the Force is your weapon, which I feel goes contrary to what George Lucas, what the Jedi's view of the Force is, right? It's not supposed to be a weapon. It's supposed to be for knowledge and defense, never for attack. But in this case, it is 100% for attack, because it's your primary weapon. But I've had some people come up to me that have played the game, the first game anyway, that they'll just use their lightsaber the whole time. And it's bro, if you use your lightsaber the whole time, no wonder you're going to get bored. You got to be able to use all of the elements that are around you. I love how every mission, especially in that first game, you have to use a different force power to defeat each person. So when you're facing off against, what's his name, Ram Koda, a lot of that is using your lightsaber. But then when you're going up against Kazdan Paratus, using the Force Lightning is a way to stun him and then take him out with the saber. Then when you're going up against Shakti, it's the way to get her is with the Force Repulse. So it's every mission you go on, you're unlocking this new force power that can help you against the current boss that you're fighting. Yeah. And what even stands out even more to me is when you go up, the first half of that game is you're going around doing all this damage to all these different planets, and then coming out of it, in the back half of the game, when you go to revisit all those planets, you're basically having to undo all the damage you've done. I absolutely adore the Force Unleashed.
My number 4 is Jedi Survivor. I really enjoy the game. I love running around with it. I'm really excited for the 3rd game whenever that comes out, but Jedi Survivor is my number 4 game, and it is just, I love running around. I love the whole storyline of it, finding Tanalorr. It's really fun.
I'm actually such a big fan of the Jedi games as well. I would honestly say that Jedi Fallen Order is probably behind Force Unleashed in terms of my favorite Star Wars games of all time. I thought they did a really good job with it. At my number 4, I picked a whole trilogy. I just picked the original trilogy, because that's always something that's carried a special place with me. It's how I was introduced to Star Wars. I love the story of Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Princess Leia and Chewbacca. And then when they bring in Lando Calrissian in The Empire Strikes Back as well, I adore all those characters. I love those stories. It's what got me into Star Wars. And yeah, that's really what I got to say about that.
Yeah. Number 3 is going to be the Kanan comics for me, if I can get the word out. I really enjoy them. I love the storyline of it. I love seeing what it was like for him during the Order and what happened after Order 66 for him.
I was looking the other day at my bookshelf, because I think you made a video on the Kanan comics, and I was I feel like I have these somewhere, and I checked and I do. So I got to go back and read those, because I don't think I've actually read them before, but I'm sure they're incredible.
They are really good.
At my number 3, I've got Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. This movie for me, it's my favorite Star Wars movie. Love the story that it tells of the downfall of Anakin. I love all the saber battles and stuff, because growing up I was a huge sucker for those, and I guess I still am. I remember I couldn't watch the movie right away growing up. I remember watching all of the original trilogy movies and the first 2 prequels. I think I was 6 years old. And then like I didn't watch Revenge of the Sith until I think I was at least 10 or 11, mostly because my parents didn't let me. But I just remember after watching that movie, I was like, holy crap, this is the coolest thing. And it just got me like, if I was already in love with Star Wars before, like that movie was just like, oh, okay, I love it even more now.
Number two is Rebels.
Okay. That is also going to be mine. I'm just pointing that out right now. I'm in the same boat as you.
Rebels is number two. I really enjoy watching all the missions they go on, seeing Ezra grow in the Force, as well as seeing Kanan get through more training, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does. I love Rebels probably just as much as you do. I love all the characters. I love the story. And I just remember like Rebels was such an important time for me, especially like after the Clone Wars had ended. And maybe I'm kind of giving away my hand at what my number one is, but I just remember like I needed something to like keep me invested in Star Wars at that time, because there was like a part of me that was trying to channel out what the Clone Wars a little bit, just because like I was so upset by how that whole situation ended that it was like, for a while I would say like Rebels was kind of my number one thing, and mostly because as well I just enjoyed the story so much and those characters, and I love the family aspect of it, and I love the idea of bringing other known characters from Star Wars in there. Like you have Obi-Wan Kenobi at one point, you bring in Maul and you finish that story. Bringing in Grand Admiral Thrawn, which that was like a really big deal for a lot of like Star Wars fans that grew up with like the books that came out in like the late 80s and the 90s. I remember watching it was at like Celebration, like whatever year it would have been, where they revealed that Thrawn was going to be in Rebels. I remember like they announced a Thrawn book. And I thought like that already was a big deal. Like, oh my gosh, like a new canon book about Thrawn. That's a huge deal. And I don't remember the timeline if they introduced the Rebels thing first or if they introduced the book, but I remember seeing the book first. And then when I saw that he was in the trailer, I'm like, wait, they put Thrawn in this too? Like, oh my gosh, they're going all out with him here. And I thought, people can say what they want, man. They protected Thrawn so much. They protected him and Vader, because that was always a common criticism I saw too, is like, oh, they didn't protect, bro, what are you talking about? Like the Rebels barely made it out against Vader, right? Like Vader was kicking their butts for most of the time. The only time that Thrawn lost was the season 4 finale. Like that was it. Every other time in that show he won. And then people, like, for the Bendu thing, for everyone who wants to complain about that, how was Thrawn supposed to prepare for that? And Thrawn still technically won that battle. He didn't lose. It was like, bro, people can, criticize what they want, but I absolutely adore Rebels. I love the show probably just as much as you do. And yeah, that was my long-winded answer for number 2. If you want to go on to your number 1.
Number 1 is The Phantom Menace. I know I've ranked this number 1 for pretty much everything.
That's okay.
I love it just because we do get to see Anakin's past, and we get to see what it was like before he joined the Order and what his passions were and all that.
So going on to my number 1, probably who would have saw this coming? Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Oh my gosh, where do I begin? I mean, well, I guess if you want to know where to begin, you can start with my current walkthrough of the Clone Wars on my channel. Every Monday, I'm doing a video putting out a new episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, talking about it. I've said to so many people, and I've said it in so many videos, that like me doing that series has been the most fun I've ever had on YouTube. And I've been doing YouTube videos now for like about 5 years. And
nice.
Yeah. I was looking for something that like I could really dive my teeth into, and I'm like, oh man, I could just go back and watch the Clone Wars, and it's been the most fun. I absolutely adored that show as a kid. I just remember all the days that I would spend in class or whatever, like in school. I'd just sit there. I'd be like, oh, okay, what's gonna happen on next week's Clone Wars? Like, what's Ahsoka gonna do? What's Captain Rex what big mission are the clones gonna go on? What's gonna happen with Ventress and Savage? And what is this Darth Maul coming back? What's this all about? It was like the big thing that kept me going as a child, and I've absolutely adored it since day one. And like I said, kind of when I was talking about Rebels, there were times where I blocked it out. There were times where it was not for like the reason, it was kind of just like, I have to move on from this a little bit. It's like the show's gone. It's not coming back. Just like you can enjoy it for what it is, but you can't like you can't sit there and dwell on it, because I know there's a lot of fans as well that are like upset with like the Acolyte being canceled and stuff like that. And what I would probably tell those people as well is like, you know, don't dwell on it. Like there's always every chance in the future that it could come back, and the way that Clone Wars did, but I guess you never necessarily know for sure. But even then, it was like, even without season 7, I enjoyed the Clone Wars for what it was. I absolutely adored the series. And season 7 happened, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. This is so awesome. And then like years later, you know, we fast forward to now, and I'm like, can we do more? Can we do like 2 or 3 more seasons? Please, just give me 2 more, maybe 3 more or 4. Just give me more Clone Wars, please.
Yeah, I feel like they could do a lot with more seasons.
So I think that kind of does it for our list today, you guys. Abbie, once again, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Yeah, of course. Welcome back anytime, as always. And thank you all for checking this video. I'll be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with others to help support the channel, and I will see you guys next time as I end up switching my screen here. Hang on.